call this meeting to order at 5:34. Approval of minutes for the December 4th meeting. Do I have a motion for approving it?
I motion.
Second,
I'll second that.
any discussion on it?
No, thanks for sending them by email.
I did have two things. Under new business, item B, calendar is spelled wrong. And then at some point in it, I wish I could find it again. Mike's last name is spelled wrong, but
Okay.
I can't remember where.
No,
that was.
I go by any name, it's good enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I noticed, yeah, don't worry about it.
But barring that,
I see what you mean.
You
I
can
got it.
search MEER.
It's when we were talking about the revisiting the secretary positions, I see it. Okay.
barring that, we have a motion to approve, all in favor?
Aye.
Right, so passes. No public comments and no new business, so we're on to old business. Any business outreach updates from any commissioner, from staff? I know it's just after the holiday season, so I haven't gotten it yet, but
No, unfortunately, I'm not able.
business spotlights.
Oh, sorry,
Sorry.
one thing, I did meet with Breeze Line. They used to, that was housed here, so they are looking. They're looking to do some type of cross-channel promotions, so. Hold on. So they're either gonna try to provide promotion services to businesses. They're really trying to target existing businesses, but they're trying to get new businesses as well. So if they could partner with a small business, let's say Pizzarama, and they kind of do a whole like small little commercial kind of thing. Region branding event, where they bring, obviously the event is at Pizzarama, but then they have all their branding stuff out and they make it like a community event. They're interested in doing something like that.
Okay.
It is an idea phase right now, but I'm working with Natasha at Breeze Line. She's gonna give me an updated list of the existing customers that they may look to partner with. And then we can maybe start with there. She's gonna work with her team to kind of flesh out what that commercial piece could look like, and then really what that community engagement event would entail from the business, and maybe how they would actually go about coordinating that. But just in the works, but no other business updates at this time.
Thank you, that seems interesting, actually, I hope we can help out with that. Business spotlights,
I'm sorry. I got one more thing, but it's with the business content stuff. I gave you guys an updated outreach list. The biggest thing that changed on there is the town of Groton has a small business pivot grant that they are really gonna be promoting this year. It is part of ARPA funding, so they're trying to get everything at least allocated mid to late 2025. They gave us these handouts that we could use during our outreach, and I put a couple key points within that business content information for you guys to use. But basically, it's a grant up to $5,000 for any small business within Groton, as long as they have at least been in business for 24 months and have under 500 employees. And it can go, basically everybody was impacted by COVID, so that's kind of like a given check mark, but it can go to anything for like any growth improvement plans, purchasing machinery, marketing, kind of, it's really broad of what it could be used for. I've also asked town of Groton staff to come and present to us in February about this program and how we can help advertise it. That was the biggest update in that section. And sorry, I'm doing business now.
Sierra, can we swing by and pick that up from you at some point?
Yes. And I'll also leave a couple of them in my mailbox, so if you swing by and just ask the city clerk, she can hand it to you if I'm just not in the office or something.
Yeah.
Business spotlights.
And just acknowledging, hey, Nishant.
Hello, didn't think I could attend, but I'm in the car, so I figured I'd join for when I can.
Awesome, thank you. All right. So for the, I'm sorry, did you have what you were about to say? And I cut you off? For the business spotlights, we have the templates of kind of what this will look like. It's about 5 different slides highlighting the business, having little points. This is kind of like, why is your location good in Groton? Obviously, all of these are catered to outer lights, but this is kind of a general gist of what that story reel will kind of look like on social media. And then Jackie will also incorporate this somehow into something that goes on our website as well.
Cool.
So
Like links to these stories?
Hmm.
From the webpage, you can link to these?
Mhm.
Very cool.
And so each spotlight will kind of be something very short, sweet, simple, but kind of navigating them either to the business or something for more information about specials. We've had, sorry if I keep using Pizza Rum because I've just been in touch with them a lot lately, but
It's
They-
making me hungry, that's all.
and I love their veggie pizza or Mediterranean pizza, but they submitted content for our first business spotlight. They submitted the content to me via email. I did submit it in Blue Dot. Did anybody by chance get a notification of that?
Yep.
You did get a note, okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was working right. They still owe us some pictures, but basically Jackie's still getting used to the Blue Dot site and she didn't get that notification, so we're trying to make sure that she definitely does. So still asking us to please use Blue Dot. If you are not, everybody should be connected to it, but if you're having any issues with it, please let me know so I can make sure that that is all situated. And Jackie's basically ready for us to start submitting stuff to her so she can start to put together a calendar and get the information rolled out.
And you said Pizza Rum had already sent.
Yeah, they sent the content they want us to include. They just needed to do pictures because they just completed their renovations.
Okay.
So they're now back open, so she just wanted new images.
Great. Ribbon cutting celebrations.
So for ribbon cuttings, we don't have anything set in stone for right now. But Pizzarama, Avery Market, Friendly Tide, Paul's Pasta, and then the new businesses on Thames Street, which is I Love Lashes by Sadie's and Ready Set Glow Skin and Nail Studio. They all have shown some type of interest to do a ribbon cutting.
Mhm.
Paul's Pasta has been difficult to get connected with, to figure out what's going on with that. Friendly Tide, I have mentioned it to her. She doesn't know if she's ready for a mass promotion because she's still trying to make sure her staff is comfortable with the existing traffic that they get. But I'm still gonna work with her and Margaret, you can
Yeah,
kindly
oh, for sure.
nudge her to see if that
Okay.
would But Pizzarama for sure wants to do something in the spring. I think Avery Market. I don't know if they want to line theirs up with doing something for the brew run, because that was kind of something that they were also interested in the brew run and trying to do something, get more traffic. What else am I? Yeah, so I think we just really have to touch bases with these businesses and schedule exactly when their ribbon cuttings are. And for the new businesses, I have been telling them to at least give us a 2-month window of like a heads up of before they're trying to do ribbon cutting, especially if they need substantial support from us for like ourselves to just make sure we can get all that stuff.
I must be missing something, but you know, ribbon cutting implies you're opening a business or something new. You know, Paul's Pasta, Avery Market have been around forever. What would a ribbon cutting entail with somebody like that?
Well,
So-
Paul's is under new ownership,
Paul's is under new ownership.
relatively new ownership,
Yeah, within the last maybe year.
yeah, last year.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And so a ribbon cutting could be for a new business, or it could just be some type of celebration for a milestone for that business. So
Okay.
for our order businesses, it would be that milestone mark or something.
Yeah, the group that owns Paul's Pasta now also owns the Fisherman Restaurant in Noank and Groton Long Point, and
Really?
there's another restaurant opening on the town side soon by the same group. There may be another one as well in town.
There's such different restaurants. Fisherman's and Paul's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't realize.
I mean, just completely different vibe, completely different look, completely different food.
Is that, I should, about Pizzarama, I remember Pizzarama wanted to do things with the other people that are in that plaza, but there's really nobody left in that plaza. Have they given up on that, or do they still wanna do it with maybe another group? Could we pair them off with them, you know, if Friendly Tide comes around, we can do
That's
something like
okay.
that again with them.
let me revisit that with her, yeah, because she definitely wanted to do something with the whole plaza. But at least there is a barber shop that's been there for a while. They
Yeah.
weathered the storm through a lot of tenant transition, so it would be nice to do something that highlighted the both of them at least.
Mhm.
And maybe even marketed the other spaces. I mean, I think I know the property owners there's a number of repairs that need to be done, but they are looking for new tenants to get into that space. And so that might be a way for us to kind of advertise vacant space, but I'll follow up with her and see what her plans are and how she wants to branch that out, and if she wants to do something cross with Friendly Ties and stay in that same location.
Plus, I think that would give Friendly Time more of a motivation to give us a date kind of thing, if they were working with other restaurants, it might be easier for them.
Does anyone want to specifically focus on ribbon cutting coordination and help with this?
I can help whatever you need for ribbon cutting stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, through the end of February, I'm doing a lot of traveling, so it wouldn't be available.
Okay. All right.
Just send me whatever you need me to do for ribbon cutting, I can work for it.
Okay.
That's all set for ribbon cutting. We have the CT Main Street assessment.
I sent you guys a copy of the 2023 assessment. We are updating that with Cara Rosa on January 21st at 10. We'll be meeting here at the Municipal building.
Excuse me, when are we meeting?
January 21st at 10 a.m. If anybody would like to come, you're more than welcome to join us here. Actually, and please give me a heads up if you are gonna come, because I just have to reserve a room if we're gonna have more people. We have just an
I
office.
somehow, unless I missed it, I didn't get that briefing you sent on CT Main Street.
The assessment paper.
Excuse me?
The assessment paper?
Yeah, I didn't get it. And I must have missed it
It was part of the attachments, for tonight's meeting.
for tonight's meeting.
Mhm.
No, I didn't see it. I'm sure
But
it's there.
I could definitely give you my copy here and I can go back and make sure you have something.
Okay, good.
You
don't need to do it now.
Oh.
Just- yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. I guess within here, if you kind of look through it, you'll notice that this, that we did have a kind of low score of 59. Remember, this is a baseline. It's a 59%. But when we're talking about it with Carl, he'll kind of explain to you that 59 isn't as bad as it sounds.
Is it not 59 out of 100?
It is 59 out of 100, but the
For-
way
for
that
what?
they do
Exactly.
their assessment and
I mean,
methodology.
the potential of our Main Street,
Yeah, it gives us the
Activity.
space to grow. Yeah, it goes economic vitality, looks at designs, promotions, organizations, and they grade us in each of those areas. And so, like for economic vitality, looks at practices that restore the district's economic value by building a diverse economic base, catalyzing new investment, and cultivating a strong and entrepreneurial ecosystem. This assessment measured 22 action items in subcategories such as market assessment, real estate development, small business, and business continuity planning. So it's a very large umbrella that they're looking at for all economic activities and kind of gauging where we're at with that, but also giving us ideas for areas for growth. One of the biggest takeaways that I took from the 2023 assessment was our business outreach and coming up with a commercial database inventory, commercial space inventory. So that's why we've been kind of building up that blue dot database to really help support that outreach. But looking forward to having discussion with Carl. He'll revisit 2023. We'll do the 2025 assessment. And I do think that that will put us in a really good position to then have Main Street come back, talk to us about the accelerator program, and us to start to think about inviting additional businesses and community members to potentially participate in that application process and whatever project that we need to consider. Just reminding you, if we did do the Main Street Accelerator program, it is a 6-month technical assistance program where Main Street staff will come here and work with us in whatever group that we form. We have an opportunity to apply to a grant through Connecticut Main Streets to fund whatever project or initiative that we end up coming up with that group to implement. If it is something we want to proceed, I am going to seek request funding within the budget to possibly match that so that we could have maybe a $10,000 budget for that specific project and task with community members. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it right now, but what are some initial reactions?
That there's a cost to engage with Main Street on that?
There's not a cost to engage with Main Street. We do pay a membership fee, but that's outside of.
Yep.
There is no cost for the assessment.
Okay,
And there is no cost to participate in the accelerator program. We would apply for it, the accelerator program, to be a participant, and then we would also then apply for their grant program to fund whatever project.
okay.
Because the accelerator program is a project that, kind of a public-private partnership that we would run, right?
It's not a public, well, it kind of is. It's a public-private partnership in the sense that we are reaching out and saying we want to do some type of project with our peers. Let's come together and brainstorm what that is. Main Street Accelerator helps lead us through that process, keeping focus on our assessment and things that we need to do to actually move the Main Street approach and concept forward.
Mhm.
Is that answering?
Yeah, and I think we had said that we wanted them to come and talk to us about that.
Yes, so I have a request for them to come to our March 5th meeting.
I'm sure we'll get all the.
The March 5 meeting, you say?
March 5th, yes.
Yeah.
I figured maybe like one group of presenters per meeting might be good, unless we're just gonna go to.
No, that's fair.
Meet with a whole bunch of people at once.
So what? You said you were going to ask to use money from the budget for the accelerator program. What would that money be towards?
Well, for the next fiscal year.
Yeah.
So it would go towards. It would be a match to the Main Street Accelerator
So
grant,
just so whatever project we land on has more money coming from the,
potentially.
okay,
Cause even the grant for Main Street isn't guaranteed.
okay.
So, or we can get together and meet and with individuals and figure out funding for whatever afterwards, or have something that we can kind of.
It gives us a bit more leverage and to the project we're looking at, so we can actually fund it.
And I think it'll give, as we're doing more outreach, it'll kind of give other people, maybe make us think that it's a little bit more serious and fine tune, that we actually have money behind this initiative, not only just the assistance.
And we wouldn't know any of this for sure anyway until after the March 5th meeting. Right,
What do you mean?
as in, we're not wholly dedicated to it because we haven't met with them yet, so we don't know
Correct.
so.
We wouldn't know until we
Yeah.
apply and get.
So this is all preliminary conversation stuff before we move into, okay.
And you'd be putting it in the fiscal year ending 26 budget
Yes.
anyway, so we wouldn't have, but I'm still curious about. If we set some money aside in the budget to be used for that, we're essentially tagging on to their program or creating a whole nother grant program. You know what I mean? Like, we would have to administer it somehow through them, right?
No, it wouldn't be a grant program, it would just be funds really dedicated to the EDC within the next fiscal year budget to move forward the project. Whether we get the accelerated grant or not. Is that? I'm not saying it right.
Does the accelerator grant, that goes to whatever project we decide through that, because it's the
Correct.
accelerator program is just, we have a group, it would be. You make a group of people from the city, representatives from the city and people who own businesses. Strategic partners to decide on what kind of project they want to do in the city,
Okay.
right? So the grant would be to spend on the project and the added money would also potentially go to that project.
Correct.
Gotcha.
If we have more money in the fund for that project,
Yes.
okay. I think that's a great idea. If we do go forward with that, that would be a good, if we could get those types of funds.
Okay.
That could be a good way to, again, like you said, add some gravity to the discussion that we'd be
Did
having.
you already say what you think, Connecticut Main Street's side of this, financial side of it is, maybe what they, is there a dollar value that they,
How much is the grant?
The grant it goes up to 5,000. For
Their-
the
their
technical
side.
assistance. Where are you looking just for the grant or for their doing work with us?
I'm curious about what kind of scope of, budget request we would be making to match, what would we be matching, 5,000?
Yeah.
I'm confused. 5,000. A moment ago, you were talking 10,000.
So the Main Street Accelerated Grant Program, we could apply for up to $5,000 from them. So if we were to do the max ask, I was just saying, let's match their 5 with 5 from the city of
Oh,
Groton.
excuse me.
So that we have the 10,000 for the EDC to do a project.
Gotcha.
Margaret, any thoughts?
Still absorbing,
Okay.
but yeah,
I think it's a lot to talk about, especially considering we haven't met with Main Street yet to know the for sure iron out details of the project of how the program works.
Mhm.
But I think once that March 5th meeting happens, once that presentation happens, I think it'll be easier
Yeah,
for us to determine.
I think it's a great chance to think about things.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that, getting $5,000 piece of the upcoming budget is a guarantee for us, but it's, we think that that's valuable to add to the program. It's at least worth making the ask.
Mhm. And I guess the only reason I'm bringing it up to you guys at this meeting as well is because our budget conversations are gonna start at the end of this month.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to let you guys honestly know where I was thinking about this accelerator program.
I would say that, unless the rest of the group thinks differently, I would want to make sure that, that we don't run ourselves afoul of the council and the budget. We want to make sure we're sticking with the grant program funding that we're already, we don't want to lose that, overreach to ask for too much more. And then, we'd like to make sure we can still get the money that we're providing through our grant programs. But I think it's worth at least asking, like you said, the early conversations.
Mhm. And on that note, I was just going to do the 10 for the grant program that we currently have. Request.
Yeah, because last year we almost ran out, didn't we? We were right at the 11th hour, we were almost out of it last year, so I think
Yeah.
the 10 works, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the question would be, is there enough interest? Are we getting enough applications? We're asking for more and be justified. I don't think that's true.
So I think if every application that if every applicant that's reached out to me were to apply, we are definitely gonna be over
Okay.
for this year. But our history does not show that yet. This would be the first year that we really show we are well over the 10. If they were all.
This is the first year in how many years? I mean, this
And-
is good. 2?
Well, right.
But yeah. But I guess they usually they like to do a 3-year look back traditionally for recognition before they do big increases.
And like we did last year when we got that last application and we almost had to do some math of them applying right at the end and then also doing a second application. That's also something we could work out if we run out of money again this year. And then obviously if that does happen, maybe next year we look at increasing it. We look at increasing it. But I also think for the Main Street Accelerator thing, it's a great opportunity because I know the mayor talks a lot about wanting shovel-ready projects and to get projects off the ground. So I think that's a great avenue for those types of projects.
Definitely.
Right.
All right, so January 21st for the assessment, March 5th potentially for the presentation.
Right. That's all set for the accelerator program, other programming and project brainstorming session.
At our last meeting, you have rattled off a number of things that you wanted us to talk about, but 2 things that I remember that came up was connecting with other EDCs locally, and then we also wanted to revisit our TIF. But yes, the floor is open to you guys, or whichever.
I guess I'll start because I have some ideas, and we can talk about that later. But I think meeting with other towns' EDCs is a good way of kind of getting a thermometer, a temperature feel of what the region is going through economic development wise. We have a lot of similar towns in the area, East Lyme, New London's very close, Mystic, the town, even Ledyard. So I think meeting with them and just having conversations about what their economic development commissions are doing, what projects they're running, what grants they have, is a good way of seeing what other towns are doing and helps us to kind of broaden our horizons to what services we could provide in the future for the economic development.
When you say meet with them, are you thinking we'll attend one of their EDC meetings? Or is this like a separate meeting with like the chair and maybe their staff person? to talk about things.
That could be a way. I think it really comes down to what we find most convenient and what the other commission might find most convenient for who we want to talk to. Because some commissions may do it very differently. Their chair or staff person may be too busy to meet one-on-one. And so they'd prefer us to come to one of their meetings, or maybe they prefer to come to one of our meetings.
Okay.
So I think that's more of an outreach question of what worked best for them. I think either one would work.
The town of Groton's on your list, or?
I think a town, yeah, I don't see why not. We wouldn't talk to the town. They seem to love to talk to us, so. That was one idea I had. Another idea that we talked about briefly last year was kind of a open house sort of event, like coffee with the economic development, meeting with business owners and like collecting business owners, and I think we had discussed even realtors into one room to discuss, you know, what the Economic Development Commission is looking forward to in the next few years. To see what the situation on the ground is for the businesses, what they're experiencing, what they want, what they would like to see our program do more of. And then with realtors to kind of connect about messaging and branding about what we see as some of the vacant lots in the community, what we think could go well with them, what the city kind of wants to do with them, and how they might be able to better market them. Because I know that we have talked previously about how, I know Fallon specifically has mentioned this, that some of the realtors are really, they don't really know how they should be marketing some of these lots that we have in the city. And so giving them kind of a history or an identity of what they have previously been might be a good way of pointing them in the right direction. And then also connecting them with business owners to kind of foster that community could be a good opportunity.
And it would be nice if, so with planning and zoning commission having the new regs potentially before in a public hearing, if those are to go through, it would be nice to revisit those with realtors so that when they're marketing, they kind of know how to better advertise that as well. Because that usually gets lost in the mix of things.
Cameron, how do you see going ahead with this? Just maybe Sierra issuing some invitations to counterparts at the EDCs and other communities and inviting them to attend a meeting, you know, with a specific time where we dedicate our attention to them for 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah, so for the Economic Development Commission thing, I figured that way we could, like you said, Sarah could reach out to some of them, or any of us could reach out to any of them. And either see what they have been up to, invite them to one of our meetings to talk about it, or ask them if we can go to one of their meetings to ask them questions about what they're doing. I think really what would be best, maybe if we do it one at a time almost, where we invite the town people, right? We invite the Town Economic Development Commission to come to our meeting, or we all go to one of their meetings and we kind of have a discussion where they're kind of at the table with us as equals. And it's just a roundtable discussion about what some of
I
their.
think it would be best, I mean, just instinctively, it's more polite to go see them, but the more of our crew we have around a table listening, the better off I think we would be. So maybe it makes more sense to invite them here.
Well, I think to have as many of both sides as possible is the benefit, right? Because everyone is gonna have a unique experience, everyone's gonna have a unique perspective on some things. So being able to have all of those voices in the room might be will be valuable.
I guess you haven't seen this before, but for a couple of years, I attended the Town of Groton Economic Development Commission meetings as the representative from our commission. And I mean, I haven't attended in some time, but it's almost like an ex officio seat at the table. So let me dig through the emails. Maybe I can send them your way and you can take that spot. You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure the town clerk's been sending me those emails forever. So no reason why we wouldn't, you know, be still invited. I mean, I think that connection's already built, though we haven't made effective use of it in some time. So no reason why you can't attend those meetings, you know, be on the invite, all that stuff.
So I think it's a good idea.
So you want someone to serve on
Well,
the?
for the town, we can start looking in that direction, but you
For the
know, for like New
application.
London and East Lyme and Ledger or whatever, I think going to one of their meetings, having them come to our meetings.
Sure.
Could be a good opportunity just to have those conversations.
And for those conversations, this is a little bit more, we actually want a dialogue, we just don't wanna come there and be put on like a public comment
Yeah.
list.
That's why I think it would be best if we could get a sort of thing where we go to their meeting as kind of like, this is the big thing on the agenda item. It's like, we're gonna come and we're just gonna, both sides talk about it, because I think an open dialogue about it would be more beneficial.
Okay. Could we at least, I know you rattled off a couple names, but could we maybe come up with a list of towns that we want to look at? And then we can start to narrow down from there and do some outreach.
Yep.
Okay. Any other thoughts on connecting with other E EDCs?
No, I think it's a great idea. I think a while back I'd given you a heads up that the person from Waterford might be reaching out to you. Because I was contacted by in a conversation with a small business owner over there who said that, she felt that he could learn a lot from what's happening here, so. I think it's a great idea.
And
And the
that,
question is how far out you go, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, Norwich, do you go all the way down to East Lyme, to Stonington, north to Norwich? And actually does have an economic development position and or commission in the area. Do we know?
You said for East Line?
I don't know. I mean, I'm imagining they do.
I don't know about East Line. I'm thinking of the person in Old Saybrook, which is messing me up right now, but I'm not too sure about East Line. The other thing, this brings back up Connecticut Main Streets, it would be nice if, as a commission, we attend one of their, like, either Spotlight on Main Street events, because a lot of economic development commissioners do go to those events from all over Connecticut, and that would be a good way for us to connect with them as well. And then also see a community and kind of what they're doing with Main Streets and other initiatives that they have going on.
does anybody else have any ideas of events we could run or programs that they'd like to see the Economic Development Commission do either this year or next year in the future?
I'm sure.
All right.
Quite a broad ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We, previous things we talked about. Sorry, excuse me, partnering with the Thames River Heritage Taxi and, doing some type of event to kind of highlight that asset. Maybe whether it's a happy hour cruise or some type of promoting some type of cruise that leaves from the Groton side.
Yeah, you have brought that up before,
Yeah,
and. Yeah, kind of like a invitation only sort of,
yeah, because their boats are kind of.
right, they're only so big.
Yeah.
But I mean, that might be something where, we kind of rent the boat out,
Mhm.
or work with, Thames River Heritage as they kind of donate that trip as a promotional thing.
Or something, or ship some type of discount or something.
Right. Yeah.
Any thoughts on if we want to add that to the list maybe? Or revisit it, or?
I think we can explore it, similar to what we did last year.
I think we have a few months to work that out before, the boats start running again.
Oh, and they're supposed to be adding the third one this year.
Is that right?
And the no, sorry, the third stop.
Okay.
I think they added the boat this year,
Okay,
but there's going to be a landing spot at the museum.
I think they just completed that landing.
Yeah, and so it's gonna officially open in the spring, so.
Good deal.
Yeah. We'll have two on the front side. Okay,
I'm not sure I want to make this part of the official proceedings, so maybe I can just throw something out, Cameron. I think at least twice before I brought up this property with the former restaurant that's empty and, you know, across the parking lot from the old oyster place. And I think I mentioned that Keith came close to getting the folks from Port of Call to make that their port of call. This was about 5 years ago, and the dickering with the owner got so sort of unpredictable that they gave up, and you know, port of call grew out of that, and gee, it could have been here. So I'm wondering if there's a way that we could high potential properties like this one, or when the new zoning laws are finally enacted, finding some way to showcase, if that's the word, these vacant properties, potentially developed properties, you know, in the north end, and trying something specific and trying to find a way to bring people together to talk about a specific opportunity might be really productive for us. In the case of this former restaurant, you know, I suggested that Keith do it, but I'd be willing to approach them to say, hey, you know, this has been empty for 5 years now. 5 years ago, you came close to selling it. You know, Paul's Pasta has changed hands, you know, a bigger restaurant now owns it. Would you be interested in doing a partnership or selling your property? And, you know, can we try to help you bring some people together to look at this in a serious way? If we were proactive, maybe we could make something happen. And the reason I don't want to make this a formal part of the proceedings is that this is really speculative. But I'd be interested in your thoughts, and maybe I'm smoking dope here or something, metaphorically, but I'd like to target something specific and see if we can make it work.
I think you bring up a good point. I think that we could look at that in the future, right, about meeting specifically with the owners of the buildings. I think one of the things that we often think about is how we can utilize kind of with my idea for the coffee with the EDC idea and meeting with what's it called? People who sell land? Realtors, thank you. Meeting with the realtors and kind of giving them our perspective on things.
You're too young.
Meeting with realtors and giving them our perspective on things can really help kind of focus how they look at it, and so they'll
Yeah.
talk more often with.
Well, we
the
could
owners.
roll out this as an example.
Yeah,
Roll out the new zoning regulations. What are you thinking? You know, have you experienced something like this in your communities? Are there potential investors in your area who might be interested in branching out here in Groton? You know, that kind of conversation. No, I think it's an outstanding idea, Cameron. I'm just trying to moor it a little more, and maybe a couple potential opportunities, because if you get one or two things going, then other things follow. But it's hard to get the one or two things going.
I see the point of doing a more aggressive recruitment process for businesses in the city. I think it goes back to getting the outreach to the property owners and building that commercial inventory list. So we started doing it within Blue Dot, but I think this year it's a real point to really reach out and see what's available and what property owners are trying to do now with their space. Like I met with David Creek the last month. He has the whole triangle at Bridge Street, which by the way, he painted that building. I don't know if you guys noticed, which makes a huge difference at that intersection, but kind of understanding like what their needs are and then helping with that improvement. It could be that we do say when we're doing like business spotlights, maybe we can advertise the available properties on our social media and website. I don't know if it's a collaboration with the property owners to go out, or if it's nudging them in the right direction and introducing them to people who may be interested to go into their building, but we could massage and kind of figure out what is the best role for the city and the EDC to play in recruiting businesses here.
I wonder if on our website along those lines, I mean, sort of exactly as you say, we should have a category on the website called development opportunities. Or opportunities in Groton and, you know, the new zoning changes, you know, some key vacant properties with the contact information.
It would also, I think, be good for us if we were to pursue recruitment to team up with the town of Groton, because they do aggressive recruitment with the whole Explore More Groton, the website, all of that was designed towards recruiting private investment in. So they do have a website that does have commercial property listings. The biggest issue that we were having is not all commercial realtors, there's not one really single database unless you have, was it CoStar, which you have to pay for?
Right.
That gives you all of the listings. And I guess the commercial realtors don't do a great job of sharing that content with municipalities, but if we could gather that and then upload it onto the Greater Groton website, I think that, I mean, because it's already in place, unless we want to do something on our own, that's something else we can explore, but we could build off of that idea with the existing resources.
Yeah, I'm sure, or even, I mean, even just link to, you know, commercial realtor website or something, you know, a commercial site of Zillow or, you know, something within our zip code. I mean, you know, some kind of, you know, let your fingers do the walking, you know, click, click, click type of.
Well, I think it's a good idea linking up with the town. I mean, I went to the town council meeting last night. You know, and there's a big hubbub over the sort of de facto dismissal of the head of their zoning and planning commission. I don't know what was his name, Jeff Pritchard, I think. I mean, they deep sixed him, and I don't know how that worked. There's some people on there, he was getting in their way and they wanted him out and they got him out, and there was a big ruckus. Probably 30 people testified last night, you know, some almost shouting.
I didn't realize that was going on.
It was ugly. But they do seem to be aggressive in promoting opportunities, and, you know, apparently there's speculation that the head of the zoning and planning committee was a little too careful with these in setting restrictions for a pair of big data centers, hyper data centers, they call them, want to come in. You know, pollution, noise, environmental consequences. But the big thing was how much they push up the price of electricity for everybody else because they use so much. But anyway, I bring this up because they've got some problems over there, but business development does not seem to be one of them.
I think seeing if we could piggyback off of the town's website for information on the vacant lots could be a good avenue.
Yeah.
You know, why reinvent the wheel if our neighbors already have it?
And since they're gonna come in February, maybe I can ask Corinne to kind of talk about what her plans are for that website and stuff as well. I don't remember everybody's names for all their different sites. And that's a thing. Greater Groton, one more Groton. The alphabet soup at a quarter time. Okay. Even with the vacant space things, not trying to like grade this, but we briefly discussed maybe doing some type of display within the windows of the vacant, commercial spaces throughout the city. Is another thing. I don't know if that's something, I had mentioned it before, not saying that we have to move forward with it, but it's just another idea that was floating around up there.
I think it's a fine idea. It really doesn't require a lot of commitment from us. It comes down to the business, to the owners. So I think the owners seem interested in it. It's something we're willing to, I think I'd be willing to explore. I don't know if everyone else would,
Okay,
but that really comes down to the business owners or the property owners themselves.
okay. And the lift being, we designed that information and purchased them and put them in their windows.
Yeah, I think
On our part.
the last conversation we had about it was combining it with the kind of history in the making, because I know that we already have in some of those buildings down on Dane Street, the older pictures that I think
Jim Street.
Jim Streeter had previously done.
Mhm.
So I think if we were to go down that avenue, contacting with the business owners would be step number one, the property owners would be step number one, and step number two would be contacting Jim Streeter to see if we can get the kind of meat and potatoes of how he did it and what the process for him doing it was.
We've got a lot of outreach on our agenda
Yeah.
for this year.
But that project, is only really gonna get off the ground if we have a real interest from the property owners, so.
Any other, ideas? Session, do you wanna talk about tax increment financing?
Excuse me.
TIF, tax increment financing district.
So I'm personally very interested in exploring the TIF things. This commission is technically in charge of the TIF districts that we already have set up in the city that are currently going underutilized. I think it's a great opportunity for exploration and for future development opportunities. And I would bet my bottom dollar that after our meeting with Main Street, we're gonna find something talking about TIF districts from that meeting, because I know 2023 saw that. So I think
And they
that,
have a whole guide about TIFs.
I think if we're going to find opportunity to further explore the TIF district, using the Main Street meeting later in January, that will be a good guide for pushing that, because that's going to be I think it's really exploratory, obviously.
Mhm.
And if we were to take any actual steps towards that, that's a high level, that's the city council mayor conversation
Mhm.
that we would have to be a part of. But I think that TIFs in general offer a lot of great opportunity, a good avenue of opportunity and funding for downtown districts like Five Corners, a potential option for Thames Street. Areas that we really want to target for development and to make placemakers in the community. Those provide great avenues.
So if we review this, are we just thinking of how can we use this existing plan as is, not proposing any changes or anything to it, or maybe?
I would rather use as is. It exists for a reason, and I'd like us to utilize that, which
Okay.
exists. But I mean, whatever we end up having to do.
Okay. Do we maybe foresee having to talk with a consultant or legal services over TIF?
Probably, I think for now, what we should really focus on for it is just uncovering the conversations that led to its creation. What were the goals of it? Because I know it was a
Okay.
city and town
Mhm.
co-oping agreement, so really coming up to refining those conversations to see what the city was thinking when that was happening, so we can, if we do anything with it, we're framing our conversations in that same way that the city was originally framing their conversations with it.
Okay,
And then moving forward from there.
all right, and I know our finance director is the main person that would end up touching this.
Mhm.
I guess would we, that might be a little bit hard to get a presentation from him, but I guess, is there anybody that we would want to talk to or present on TIF stuff, or is this just a review of us, like a us reviewing this and kind of going through documents. and
I think we should start with just a brief review from our own, right? Because I think a lot of us probably aren't very familiar with the whole history of it or even familiar with exactly how it would work. So I
Okay.
think a review of ourselves would be a good starting point, and then we can have future conversations about it down the line, because this would be a very long-term stretch project.
All right. Okay, so let's do it.
Sorry, it looks like that.
No, I'm sure.
You're all right.
Yeah, I mean, the tip concept is there to, allow the commission to, incentivize development in certain areas. It's not intended to provide, a tax break for all development, because that's not appropriated. It doesn't really serve the interests of the city. But, you know, an underdeveloped area that really all it needs is that nudge, you know, the incremental tax incentive that process can apply. I mean, a review could lead to narrowing the scope, you know, of what areas are covered by the TIF.
Mhm.
But I think it's worth a periodic review anyway. You know?
Yeah, and there's like some type of credit enhancement agreements that a
There are a lot of layers to it.
developer,
I don't remember all the
that a
details.
developer could apply for to use the funds, and I remember that being very vague and a little bit
Mhm.
concerned of how that would get administered and negotiated
Mhm.
kind of thing, but yeah, okay. We can do a review. I know John Reiner was the main person at the town who helped push these through. And he's the one that ended up presenting to the city council. So I may ask him during our review to at least come and kind of talk to us about this and let we're reviewing it and just wanna,
He would be a great resource.
yeah.
Cause he's always ready to, you know, provide an explanation.
Yeah.
and do some training.
Mhm. Okay. Well, John and Ron. Yes. All right, so, that's it for
Yeah.
what I had.
If anyone else has anything to add, we'll move on to the next one. EDC communication for 2025.
So I put this on here, because really just focusing on EDC recruitment.
Mhm.
Maybe doing some more outreach, talking about kind of who we are, et cetera, and just this commission having input of how we get that information out there and kind of what's all contained within it. We kind of have like a mission and goals and things that I can pull from to make that information, but we need to build up our commission.
Mhm.
And maybe do some targeted outreach to specific professions that may help with our efforts. So. Lawyers, banks. I think we should start to think about.
Good idea. If there's nothing else to add, I'll make a motion, we adjourn. 6:33.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good one.
You too.